Hey, I'm Patrick McGuire with ThinkFISH. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer here, and I've got a great opportunity to speak with Terry Huang from COREangels. Check them out, COREangels.com. They're doing some really great things to help make a difference for founders, as well as the investors that work with COREangels. Their energy comes from determined entrepreneurs and passionate angels, and they work every day to provide fulfilling innovation for those that really dare to innovate and those that dare to invest in innovation. And this forges a very close community conducted by tireless and thoughtful leaders and supported by their seasoned team. And you know what? One of the things they say is we are all so different but aligned to impact the early stage, fueled by local trust and diversity. That is COREangels at its core. But today I got Terry Huang. Terry is a great guy. He's making an impact, making a difference. He represents COREangels well. Terry, I want to say thank you very much for joining me today with ThinkFISH. And it's my pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Happy to have you. Now, Terry, I can go through your LinkedIn and I can rip through it and I can tell everyone that you're a founder and you've been part of Firefly Innovations, an angel investor and venture GP, and you've been distinguished professor. Hello. I mean, that's pretty important. People don't get those designations in Cracker Jack boxes anymore. But I mean, as much as I can tell them all these wonderful things, who is Terry and what excites you?
That's a great question, Patrick. So I have spent the last 25 plus years in public health, both in academic public health as well as in the federal government, at National Institutes of Health in particular. And a common string across really all of my work in public health over the last couple of decades has really been about the development and advancement of what we call a systems approach to complex public health challenges. The public health challenges we face today are all very complex. They're multifactorial. They require multi-pronged solutions. And so this necessarily meant thinking deeply and strategically about how to actually work across sectors to come up with multi-pronged solutions that can tackle the system and really help transform it in due course. So over the years, I've had the pleasure of working with large corporations as well as smaller companies, and I've learned a lot about the potential of using private sector instruments to effect large-scale population-wide change. So I have this really incredible journey working with different companies and trying to converge the private sector with the public sector, and thinking about how we can use instruments and strategies in both sectors in order to effect a transformative societal change, in service of population well-being. So in 2020, I decided to, really kind of go a little bit deeper in creating a very unique public health entrepreneurship platform called Firefly Innovations. It's the first and only full-on public health entrepreneurship platform housed within a school of public health in the US and probably around the world. And it really is meant to implement this vision of making public health more agile and dynamic in fostering as well as scaling innovation. And that scaling part is really important because the reality is the vast majority of public health R&D never really goes anywhere. So as a grant ends, a project sort of ends, right? We're used to publishing our results in peer-reviewed journals, and so the knowledge kind of stays within, the scientific circle, but the benefits of the R&D don't necessarily get disseminated to the wider population out there. And so this is where entrepreneurship, really comes to play. I believe that there's a lot of power in the use of entrepreneurship to help scale public health innovation, right? To both uncover new innovation by leveraging the talents of many people outside of traditional public health, and to have the right mindset and skill set to build business models that can help scale those innovations. And so the flagship program for Firefly Innovations is our Summer Accelerator, focus on health equity. And we are actually in the middle of our 5th annual edition. And this program has really kind of taken off. We bootstrapped over the years and, really went from really just an idea to now, I think, a very well regarded public platform that serves to support and promote early stage startups out there in the real world, not just in New York, but across the country and even outside the US, who apply and compete, to be part of this program every year. We're able to support 8 to 12 companies each year. This year we have 12 because our application pool was so outstanding. We had a hard time, getting the final set down to below that number.
That's a great problem to have, Terry. I love when I hear those stories.
And one of the successes with regard to this accelerator over the years has been our amazing track record in drawing in and accelerating women and other diverse founders. So about half of the founders that we've supported over the years are women founders or co-founders, and we have a 90% plus success rate in supporting diverse founders across all of the startup ventures that we've worked with. And they weren't selected because of that. They just happened to be women and of diverse backgrounds.
Right. Hire the best, select the best.
By leading incredible startups. So seeing the success and the traction of our accelerator program over the years, I decided to actually start dabbling a bit in angel investing myself, and that's how I got connected to COREangels International Network, which is really a community of practice. It's a community that seeks to proliferate, angel portfolio funds in different geographies with focus on different verticals. And today, the network has 12, 13 different portfolio funds around the world. And shortly after I became an investor in the network itself, the founders of the network encouraged me to consider setting up a fund, and lead it here in the US with a focus on health and health equity. So that, encouragement came at a time where I really kind of saw this forward trajectory for our accelerator program under Firefly Innovations. And so it kind of made sense to kind of start thinking about how we could actually bring more investment dollars to the table to support the ventures and founders that we're so passionate about. So I reached out to my co-GP, Gregor Hoffman, who has well over a decade of experience in building and helping to exit mental health tech companies in the US, and who is now working on his 3rd company, the post-Series B, really incredible solution addressing helping individuals with severe mental illness. And they're operating in multiple states already in the US, really tremendous progress. So I thought, between my unique scientific lens and expertise that I can bring to the table to support early stage founders who often really need that help, because most founders don't come from a public health background. They don't necessarily have the scientific or research expertise to really build the evidence to inform business decision making and to demonstrate that their solution, really works. Together with Gregor's operator experience, having this deep knowledge about the U.S. healthcare market and various go-to-market strategies and revenue strategies, I thought that this combination could present something that is of great strategic value to founders. And this is the reason why actually most founders want to work with us. Founders want to work with us not so much because of the checks that we cut. Our fund is actually too small to really be that important.
But we're working on changing that, aren't we?
But well, we're changing that. But this fund is a small fund, and we designed it to be a small fund. I'll come back to that and explain why. But most importantly, I think the expertise, the hands-on support that we bring to the founders, those are the things that are most valuable to them. And we've heard over and over again from the founders that we've worked with, that we've talked to in the past, year and a half, 2 years, that they get something from us that they can't really get from other VCs.
Wow,
because of the expertise that we bring to the table, right? Which, as you pointed out earlier, my background is not exactly common, in the VC space. So all this is to say that I think we have a unique value proposition for founders. We have a unique value proposition for investors. To my knowledge, we're the only fund that sits at this crossroad of focusing on health equity and supporting women and diverse founders. And this is a commitment that we're making to ourselves, the venture community. That at the end of the day, once we have all the capital raised and the portfolio constructed, we would like to see at least half of our startup ventures in the portfolio to be led by women and/or diverse founders. And
fantastic.
I think we can get there. And data back up this notion, right? Because if you look at the research in business literature, you'll quickly find that there's actually data showing that women and diverse founders actually have a excellent, even better, success rate.
I've seen that. There's many women
the
far
general,
succeed.
population of founders out there. And I think this is particularly relevant for a fund with an investment thesis, that's focused on health equity, because oftentimes it takes someone having that lived experience of these health equity issues to really understand what the problem is. And that visceral understanding of the problem is, in my view, is really critical in developing solutions that are fit, to that problem. And so I think it's not coincidental that we have found success in drawing in such founders in our accelerator program, and we think we will do the same on the fund side. So in terms of the fund, we're trying to draw in LPs to raise capital for the fund. It is a rolling fund, which is in the model of COREangel funds in general. And so that means we basically deploy as we raise, rather than soft circling, a bunch of money up front and then do that capital call before we launch. We decided to just launch, with even still being in the kind of early stages of this fundraising effort. We're able to actually now grow the portfolio to 4 companies, and we're looking at a 5th, joining fairly soon.
Great.
And the ultimate goal is to raise a $5 million fund that will be enough to support a portfolio of 25 to 30 early stage companies, all with a strong MVP that's either in the early stages of revenue generation or just about to go into the market. So we're investing in that very critical window. And once we reach that $5 million mark, on average, the initial check size will be about $100K per startup. And 40% of the fund will be set aside for follow-on investment. So that's the general contours of the portfolio construction. So for investors, I would say, this is something different. This is not your typical Silicon Valley, venture fund. We are looking for investors that want to be hands-on. All of our LPs get to vote on the startups that we invest in, and we require a majority support before we move forward. Beyond that, we also encourage our LPs to roll up their sleeves and get in the trenches, with our founders, and bring their expertise, to the fore, so that all of us collectively can really help the founders grow and scale. And ultimately, that's, I think, what founders really need, especially in the early stages, to have as much support as possible to optimize the chances that they will actually succeed and ultimately exit. So this is a double duty action fund, meaning we're looking at both the social return as well as the financial return. And
Nice.
I am, a firm believer that we can do both. And we're starting out with this, fund one, at this relatively modest, threshold, in part to demonstrate that you can have a fund that works, both for investors as well as for society at large. And so we have lots of plans that beyond, just tracking our success in supporting the kinds of founders that are, otherwise underrepresented in the VC ecosystem. But we're also, again, thinking about scientifically how we can demonstrate the public health impact, of the fund, including maybe the administration of some common health or quality of life measures across the different populations served by the different ventures that will ultimately be in the portfolio, as well as actually grouping some of the companies together and study their synergistic effect in a common population or community. So these are the kinds of things that I would be doing in a very hands-on way to ultimately demonstrate to ourselves and to our investors and the broader VC ecosystem and public health community, that this kind of convergence can really be transformative.
Terry, this is fantastic. I mean, you answered all my questions that I was going to ask without having to ask them. And one of the easiest interview sessions I've ever had.
I was trying to speak really fast because they're making so much noise outside. So I was, oh my God, I got to get this done before.
It's great.
They
We're not
start.
even picking it up at all, my friend. Now, I got a couple other questions I would say is, as you're raising these funds and
Sure.
deploying these funds, I think they're fantastic. It's a great model. I love the energy because it just keeps rolling and it sort of builds and builds and builds and helps those founders become successful, helps the investors see that their funds are deployed right away, not just collecting dust, digital dust, I guess. Question about this is, why did you choose ThinkFISH as a strategic partnership in your investment relations side?
Yeah, so we got wind of ThinkFISH. Well, we actually received a cold outreach email initially from ThinkFISH, and we saw it, but we didn't really thought too much about it. And it wasn't until we heard about ThinkFISH again through a fellow emerging fund manager who was part of a emerging fund accelerator, that we were all participating at the time.
Excellent.
We had a lot of success working with ThinkFISH in finding potential leads and investors. And so Gregor and I spoke. The problem I think with early with emerging funds is that in the early days, you don't have a lot of resources to really
Right.
be spending on peripheral services, even if they could be really useful and could really help you grow. But it goes back to kind of, I guess, business 101. You have to invest in order to grow, right? And so, we spoke to Frazel and Ben, and really liked what we heard, and really felt like, let's give this a shot. And at the end of the day, again, our fund is really different in the sense that Gregor and I aren't doing this full time.
Right.
This is really a passion project in many ways. We're not depending on this fund to make a living.
I like that.
So this means that we do need to rely on a fractional workforce to help us accomplish some very basic but essential things. And so that's how I think of ThinkFISH. I think of ThinkFISH as a essentially fractional venture partners, that help us do a lot of the groundwork, in the background, that Gregor and I don't necessarily have the time for, but yet we know that this is essential in order for us to get the word out and speak to people that we otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to speak with.
Great.
And so, so that's basically, the primary reason, why we started working with ThinkFISH.
Thank you. And one more question on the ThinkFISH side. I'm just curious. It's early days. You guys are just getting things rolling. ThinkFISH has got your campaign going. What's your experience so far?
Yeah, so I would say that we've definitely seen, in acceleration in the number and frequency,
Great.
leads being generated and calls, being set up. And I can say that I've enjoyed like all of the calls that I've had with the people that were sent our way. We're still, looking for those conversions. I think we're on the cusp of making some conversions, at this stage.
Wonderful.
And so I remain optimistic, in terms of what we can accomplish together in the next couple of months.
Wonderful. That's great. And Terry, one more thing before I sort of sign off with COREangels. And for anyone that's checking it out, investors, COREangels.com, check that out. You're going to want to see they have some funds listed. The fund directors are there. The team is listed. Very transparent organization showing how and what they do when they deploy the funds to help organizations in specific verticals and niches. And obviously, one of the things Terry's heading up is the medical health and wellness side of things. He might be a little bit overqualified for that. He's got this one very, very easily covered. But that being said, check out coreangels.com. Whether you're an investor or a founder startup looking for success, coreangels.com. And
And
Terry, as we sort of close up, one thing I have to ask you is, what is one parting nugget of wisdom for investors or founders that you would like to plant?
Yeah, so before I answer that question, I just also want to add that the fund that Gregor and I are leading specifically is called COREangels Health Equity and Mental Wellbeing. So if you go to
Thank you.
COREangels.com, you'll see a list of a number of funds within the COREangels family. But go to COREangels Health Equity and Wellbeing, and you'll be able to find us and see some of the portfolio companies that we've invested in. And word of wisdom, I guess, for founders is that uh, it's really important to build an evidence base to support the solution that you're trying to sell and implement. And so data is everything, and being really thoughtful and strategic about the kinds of data that you can and should collect over time as the solution gets rolled out through initial pilots, contracts, and eventually full-on implementation. That's absolutely critical because data will, tell you how you need to adjust your solution, how you need to adjust your business model, and ultimately how you can demonstrate your impact.
Well, that's good.
In terms of investors, I would say, it's time to do things a little bit differently. And I would say that, I think that there's a lot of room for, investors to become what we call the archangels, and meaning that, they not only kind of put money into the things that they're investing, but that they really bring a lot of value, by rolling up their sleeves and getting in the trenches to help support the founders. And I also think that, while venture investing is always about taking risk, is a high risk form of investing, of course. But I do think that there is something to be said about our particular investment thesis, which is that we're investing in areas that may have been overlooked, in the past. And then we're also investing in founders, and I think that there's something there that I hope that other investors will come to the table and join us to help tackle, because I think these untapped talents, really hold a lot of promise for both the social and financial returns that we're looking for. And that, anything, and I hope that, one of a core vision of COREangels is not only to proliferate and professionalize angel investing, but to actually make all angel investing impact investing.
Oh, I
And to
like that.
be and to be an impact investor, to invest in an impactful way, it means three things. It means being intentional, it means being measurable, and it means being accountable. And so those three elements, that underlie impact investing, I hope it's something that other investors who are listening to this, can think about, and so that they can join us in helping kind of lead the pack, if you will, in doing VC investing in a slightly different way than perhaps how it's been done traditionally in the Silicon Valley.
I like that. Terry, this has been fantastic. I appreciate it. And we're going to have more of these details. We're going to share this out. We're going to make sure we get more people aware of the health equity and mental well-being side of COREangels. And definitely. So anyone looking at it, COREangels.com, scroll down. When you look at the teams, look at the opportunities and the funds, look for Terry. He's got a great picture up there, by the way. And it's the Health Equity and Well-Being Fund. That's what Terry and his partner are leading up right now. That being said, Terry, I want to say a heartfelt thank you and great appreciation. You've summed up some great things. I've got some great nuggets. And my parting word for people, I've got a couple of quotes coming from Terry right now. He sees ThinkFISH as fractional venture partners. I think that's the perfect summary of what we do. We're here to help you do your job better. We like to make those 10x CEOs. But more importantly, I really like that you said make all investing impact investing by being intentional, measurable, and impactful. Terry,
Accountable.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Accountable. Sorry, accountable. Thank you so much. Fantastic wisdom. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Patrick. It's been great getting to know you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. And for anyone listening, wishing you the best, wishing all the founders out there the success that they deserve, and the investors, you as well. Thank you very much, Terry. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.